Haas, can you go to the left of Ocasio-Cortez on something? Is there something in 2019 that we should push for?
What is there? This is a competition?
Yes.
No,
okay.
I deal with.
Let's see if you could win.
Okay.
No.
Look.
By the way, can I just say what? I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Did you notice a shade he threw at me? Because I do throw shade at him. I love playing bus nuts with him. Okay, and ribbing him. Like Iderola, I love ribbing him too. I don't know what it is about those two, but he's like, I have to explain it for you boomers. You know, that's a thing, right? like the older folks are apparently
Damn,
boomers.
dude. My bad. Okay. My bad,
dude. All right. So what are progressives doing, or what can progressives do that goes even further than the conversations we've already been having?
Well, I mean, this is not a 2020 conversation at all, if that's what we're talking about. I mean, like obviously, you know what I talk about with you behind closed doors, behind the scenes, and I think you're very open-minded and you're receptive to new information. Beyond 2020, there are a bunch of threats that that democracy is facing right now. Okay, one of those is the international white nationalist mobilization. It's fascism and it's mobilization all around the planet. You have Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil. You have the Italian fascists. I forget the name all the time. And now people like the fascist National Front is trying to take advantage of the class conflict that's currently occurring against the neoliberal administration of Macron in France. So there are a lot of nefarious, bad faith actors out there who are trying to bring about a newer, reorganized society in the way that they feel is basically the next evolution of capitalism. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with them. I think that there is only two options out of it. I think even as a social democrat yourself, you probably agree that reforming capitalism is a necessity. But it's getting to a point where government reforms cannot sustain capitalism because the inherently exploitative nature is and other outside factors like climate change are destroying the material conditions that we could potentially have any sort of where we could potentially have any sort of balance. Or any sort of opportunity for a balance. And these guys on the right are absolutely taking advantage of that and trying to push people to fight for a very nefarious agenda. So beyond Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think we need to move the United States as further to the left as possible, as quickly as possible for sure, and do that with comprehensive, with these sorts of very progressive legislations, whether it be universal health care or the Green New Deal, which is great. But even beyond that, we ultimately need to start thinking about how we reorganize our entire economy and start it maybe even at the local level, maybe even inside of companies. A question that everyone should ask themselves is, if you're as a progressive, if you're fighting to democratize or if you're fighting towards a truly representative democracy in America, why can't you do that for your workplace? Why can't a workplace operate as a democracy? That's one question that I would ask. Also, beyond that, I wanted to plug someone. It's Progressive International. Yanis Varoufakis' think tank. I think they're doing a great job. I stumbled across them because I started watching. Someone sent me a tweet of Pamela Anderson's when she was talking about the yellow vest protests in France. Oh my God, it's incredible. You and I have had a conversation about it as well. But for those of you who are unaware, it's the DiEM25 I guess, collective that Yanis Varoufakis has created, who was the former Greek finance minister, and he's like a very famous Marxist economist, and the Sanders Institute. And I believe you met with him.
Yeah.
Rarely charismatic guy, really awesome, and it's like a pan-European movement it's basically Justice Democrats, but for Europe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's great. It's a great movement, and I highly recommend you guys go check that out.
And boy, are you delivering on Progressives International when you got Turks shouting out praise for a Greek in the progressive movement across the world, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And Yanis is really amazing. He wonderfully smart. You don't have to agree with every policy position of anybody, right? And so, but he's fighting in a direction to help the people rather than the bankers. And so that was obviously very unique as a finance minister, and that's why he's rallied a lot of smart, aggressive fighters on the left to his side.
Well, yeah, he has everyone that ranges from Bernie Sanders to Slavoj Žižek. And Žižek is a communist. He's not even a communist. He's a Marxist. He's a Stalinist, I guess. He's a Marxist-Leninist. So that's a really, obviously anyone who is a part of the American right will look at that statement and go, what? So what's the difference? One's a socialist and the other one's a socialist. I don't understand. But there's a big difference between the two. Yeah, I think that's a testament to what we should be doing on the left more. This is something I talk about a lot on my Twitch, where because I think that a unity, a coalition needs to occur between social democrats and all of those on the left who scoff at electoral politics, and the biggest suck them here. Cenk Uygur and Gail Galinsky are responsible for having anyone who's the biggest leftist, the most popular leftist candidates we've ever had in office in the past couple decades. So that is a testament to a strong progressive coalition that is an absolute necessity if we want to turn the tide against the right-wing populism that is growing around all around the world.
So let me wrap that up by saying, look, the right wing, unfortunately, are taking the problems with the institutions in our society and turning it against those institutions and trying to destroy them. And so one of the best interviews that I had in terms of what I learned was recently a professor that was on Rebel Headquarters as a guest talking about the fall of the Roman Empire. And he talked about it was actually wealth inequality from all the loot that they had gotten from the wars that had piled up in Rome that led to a distrust in the institutions. And then right-wing populists stepped in and said, yes, you should only support strong men, not democracy, and used that to destroy the institutions and did not solve wealth inequality. Of course, they made it worse. And so that is what's happening with the fascist movement all across the world now. What we have to do is not do either one of those options, which is fascism, destroying the institutions, or saying, oh, the institutions are wonderful and they don't need to be fixed at all. Let's just go with the status quo. No, there is a deep-seated problem in the institutions. We need to offer a left-wing proposal to fix the institutions instead of destroying them. And so that's my take on it. And I think that they can be saved, but we have to go left-wing populist. If you go left-wing establishment, nobody's interested in it. The voters aren't interested in it. And all you're gonna do is cede the ground to the right wing, trying to say that the system is working great, that the status quo is wonderful, and the establishment has your best interest in mind. It's preposterous. No one believes it anymore. The only people that believe it are the people on TV and the people in Washington. That's it.
Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.